I will run and not grow weary. I will walk, I will not faint.
At the end of my message, I'd like to speak from chapter 8 today. I will be speaking from chapter 9 when I'll be rounding up the message, but I would love to speak with us on 2 Corinthians chapter 8. But the chapter 9 is still there. I will talk about it. 2 Corinthians chapter 8 verse 1 through 5. 2 Corinthians chapter 8, the media, give me chapter 8, and like I said, we'll come back to chapter 9 when I'm done, or when I'm almost done. It's a familiar reading, or a familiar story. And so if you're there, I read. And now, brothers and sisters, we want you to know about the grace that God has given the Macedonian churches. In the midst of a very severe trial, their overflowing joy and their extreme poverty welled up in rich generosity. Verse 3. For I testify that they gave as much as they were able, and even beyond their ability, entirely on their own. Verse 4. They urgently pleaded with us for the privilege of sharing in this service to the Lord's people, and they went beyond our expectations. Having given themselves first of all to the Lord, they gave themselves by the will of God also to us. The Lord bless the reading of his word in Jesus' name. This morning we'll be speaking very briefly on what is written boldly on your bulletin as a topic: the biblical concept of giving. The biblical concept of giving. If you ask a number of believers to be honest if they loved giving, be it in church setting or generally, most will say they don't. In my experience in the church and as a pastor, I've discovered that there are two messages that makes particularly ECWA members put on a long face. The first message that would make an ECWA member uncomfortable in the church until the service comes to an end is when you speak about hellfire. Hellfire is one message a lot of members wouldn't want to listen. If you talk about hellfire, I'm telling you, if you're not careful, ECWA members will be quick in judging you that you are very judgmental in your sermon. The second message you would preach that ECWA members are likely to put on a long face is when you are preaching about money. Money has always been a trivial and a controversial issue as far as ECWA member or some ECWA members are concerned. Sorry, I'm using ECWA because we are we. Now we. When you do, when you take such message that has to do with money to other people, they jump at it. Maybe because of the way the pastor packaged the message and present it to the people. But if you want to take the same message that is preached in the Pentecostal setting and you want to bring it down into our churches these days, you will be shocked at the kind of response our members will tell you. We are not preaching about salvation. Why are we preaching about money? And even if you preach about the salvation, you will still discover that after you must have let people get this conviction that they are saved, now it's time for them to back it up with works. They will still tell you that if you're talking about money in church, you still have some people who believe in keeping and carving themselves in a particular place and feel they are misfits when it comes to talking about those who should give for God's work. And that is why I said, if you ask a number of believers to be sincere and to be honest if they love giving, I assure you, whether in the church or in any place, most will tell you no. No wonder when you go to the bank today, ECWA's offering is easily identified. Yes, if you go to the bank, particularly some of us that came from churches that are not as big as this before now, I tell you, you go to the treasurers of our churches will go to deposit ECWA money into ECWA bank. You will be shocked because the moment they see the money coming and the denomination, they will tell you where this money is coming from. Yeah, they know. And look at the kind of embarrassment such people go, through through those who sit at the counter in the bank. Because the moment they notice that you bring 5 naira, 20 naira, they will not render or give services to you until they are done with those who come with hard notes. These are the things we face, or particularly our treasurers from some of these upcoming churches face in the bank. As a most would even admit that they give because it is an obligation they must perform. There are people who believe that I give money to the church or I give offering because to me it's an obligation. And look at what is backing their obligation. They say most will even admit that if they don't give, something bad will happen to them. And that is why they give. So it is an obligation to give because they've already been told by some of those churches they go to that if you don't give offering, if you don't give to God your offering on a particular Sunday where God's children are gathered, you are already there's this particular mindset that is created in you that when you don't give, you are likely to experience something evil. And so people come to church to give out of fear and not out of reverence. People come to church to give not because they are giving to the one who gave them, but they are giving because they've already been brainwashed to believing that if they don't give, something bad will happen. Some give because they think that God actually needs their contributions and that without their valuable work or help, God's work will simply not go on. The reason why some people give is because they feel God needs their contribution, the church needs their giving. No wonder these kind of people, the moment you hurt them, they look at you to your face as if they are doing this thing to you. They look at you to your face and say, "Mumbarmuku church naku. Let me see how the church will grow." Because in them, and according to their belief and understanding of what giving is, they feel their giving is very, very necessary to the point that when they don't give, the work of God suffers. And to them, that is why they give. Why do you give offering in the church? Well, we're just giving because if I don't give, or if myself and 5 other people like me don't give, I'm telling you, EES will stop making the name it's making. Is that why you give? You also have others who may regard their giving or service as a form of payment for their membership in church. To them, what they give is like a membership fee. Some people give because they feel, as a member, I am giving this to retain my membership in the church. That is the only way the church would know me and would also know what I am capable of giving. That is the way the church will know me and will live to value my membership for as long as I remain a member in that very particular church. So to them, they give, or they regard their giving as a service of a form of payment for their membership. Others give because they want to solicit blessings from God in return. To such givers, they only receive blessings when they give. No wonder such people find it very difficult to come to church when they don't have offering. I've seen people who will not come to church on a Sunday, and if you ask them why, they will tell you because bani de couldn't buy. Because their perception about giving and about receiving blessings from God is when they give. Yes, it forms part of the reason, but it's not the basic reason. We all receive blessings here not because we give, because our giving will not even move God. Our giving cannot increase God. Our giving cannot enlarge God. And so he blesses us unconditionally. And he does that at will. We are not cajoling God to bless us by the amount of money we give every day as offering. In fact, these same kind of people would also refuse coming to church because to them, they don't feel comfortable sitting in the pew when people are coming to give offering and they are still seated on the chair. To them, that is very, very shameful. So they don't feel comfortable coming to church to give. And people, reasons upon reasons upon reasons informed the reason why other people give. But today, by the special grace of God, I want to talk to you about a particular people called the Macedonian church. I want to talk to you about them. I want to talk to you about their motivation. I want to talk to you about what their drive, what actually motivated them to do, because you cannot read this very particular story about the Macedonian church and you will not be touched. Because these are people who are poor economically, poor, in the standard of living, poor in every ramification. They are poor. But the Bible said because they know that God is involved and because they were told that there's a project that God wants them to do, the Bible said these people did not mind their state. They do not mind, where they are coming from. They did not mind the struggles they have to go through. The Bible said they gave even beyond expectation. And when I look at the story of these people, I ask myself this question. do I have reason? Do I have a reason why I must not partake in this particular fundraiser? Do I have a reason? Do I have a reason to convince God that, hey, God, you understand that the times we're in, the times are hard. God, you understand that seriously, I hardly had something to eat. I hardly have something to feed my family. And so because of this, God, you understand, I will not partake in this fundraising because as it stands, seriously, I am broke. Yet here comes a people who I can tell you are more broke than you can ever imagine. But because they know, when they were told that God needed their contribution to assist some crop of brethren in Jerusalem, the Bible said these people were motivated by whatever form, and they gave even beyond what was expected. And when I was going through this story, I could deduce 3 reasons why these guys did what they did, and I want to share with you. I said, why did the Macedonians give the way they did? Why did the Macedonians give that much? Why did they give beyond expectation? And why did they give? The Bible said in verse 4 that some of them who do not have money at that particular time went to the apostles and were begging them. They said, please put our names amongst those who will give for this noble cause, because we know what it is to give. Number 1 reason, and this is seen from verse 2 to 4 of chapter 5 of 2 Corinthians. Why did the Macedonians give that much? 1, because they love the Lord. Because they love the Lord. A popular saying said that there is nothing one cannot do for the sake of what he or she loves. It is a popular and an ascertained fact that there is nothing all of us seated here cannot do for the sake of what you and I claim to love. I said, no wonder some of us that has parents, particularly our mothers, because of the poverty state we've been that time, you discover that, and because our mother so loved us that she want us to study, she want us to go to school. We've had severally where some mothers will tell their children that, hey, look, because I love you and I want you to study, I'm telling you, even if it means me walking naked on the streets, I will do whatever I can to ensure that you are in school. Because of the love some mothers have for us, sometimes they move on a scorching sun to hawk. Some of them move on a scorching sun to hawk for awara. Some of them hawk for masara. Some of them hawk for sugarcane in the hot sun. And if you ask them, why are you doing this? They will tell you, we are doing this not because we want to, but because we have to. Because there's a soul we love that we don't want him to perish. If we don't do this, most likely our children will take that as an excuse and they will not become better people. Every one of us seated here, if you have a story to tell, you will understand what I'm saying. For the sake of your love, for the sake of love, and for your own very sake, your parents sacrificed what is considered to be the most valuable. Today, our parents are illiterate and we are educated. Sometimes when we go to visit my parent, my children will look at the way my mother is speaking English because she struggled to speak English, and they'll be laughing at her. And then I'll look at them and say, do you know that the English I'm speaking is my mother's? Yes, that was her sacrifice for me. If she had wanted to be outstanding in her time, if she had wanted to speak English, she would have concentrated on herself and forget about me. But she chose to sacrifice all so I can be where I am today. That was a sacrifice that comes from the heart of love. And so if you love God, my brother, and you dearly love him from the depth of your heart, there is nothing you cannot do for the love you have for God. If you truly and will truly mean the love you've been confessing about God. Sometimes we stand and sing a song that carries what we feel about God. Sometimes we stand and sing songs that say how much we love God. I'm telling you, if you love God and cannot sacrifice for that same God, there is something questionable about your love. Do you love God enough to sacrifice more than you can imagine? Do you love God enough to look at what is at stake as touching the project that we have come here to do? Do you love God enough to say, for the sake of the love I have for God, I am willing to let all. I am willing to release. I am willing to give, as long as it has anything and everything to do with God. Look at what these people did. The Macedonian church sacrificed their joy and happiness because of the love they have for God. And I said, this is what their love brought. This is what their love for God led them to do. The Bible said from verse 2, the Bible said they gave despite their severe trial. And I said, just as it is with us in the time of change. Do you know what it is? The Bible said these guys were not finding things easy. These people were not finding things easy. Like things are not working with them the way they expect. If they were in a serious, the Bible qualified their trying moments to be a severe trying moment. And yet the Bible said because of the love they have for God, they damn their severe trial and progresses for God's work. I don't know what you're going through at the moment. I don't know what is that trial you're going through. But is it enough to stop you from showcasing the quality of love you have for God up in heaven? Another thing these people did was they gave despite their extreme poverty. And when I'm trying to quantify their poverty, I can say at that maybe they were struggling with something to eat. They had no food. There were no jobs. There were no payments of salaries on time, just as some of us, had reason to go through. There are some of us who have been trusting God and trusting the government for job. It's like even the little job you great, I tell you. It was a state of lamenting. They were lamenting of where they are or where they were at that very particular moment. But because they had that God needs their resources, they were able to forget that they could not afford good food to eat, but chose to do the best for the love they have for God. As if that was not enough, the Bible said they gave as much as they were able. Still for the love of God. Do you know what it is to give God and stay in want? Do you know what it is to take your last, just as that widow did? The Bible says she came when others were giving their offerings. That was an expression of God's love. When others were giving out of the abundance, the Bible said she gave all that she ever worked for. And Jesus was standing there. Maybe I forgot to tell you. But do you know that anytime you come to drop offering, Jesus is standing to see what you're dropping? And he's not judging what you're dropping by the size of what you're dropping, but by the size of your heart. That is how he judges. It's not about the millions you drop on the collection box. It's not about the billion you drop on the collection box. You can drop 5 naira, but from a quality heart of love for God. And somebody will drop 1 million naira, but was feeling like, yes, if I don't drop, the work of God will not move. I tell you, you who drop 1 million will leave this place, you not even recognized or noticed. But the one who left here, because that was all he has, and was willing to sacrifice all he has for God that he loves, I'm telling you, will live here with the blessings of God. And so the size of what you give at times does not matter, but the size of your heart. How do you give? How do you give? For the love of God, the Bible said these people gave even beyond their ability. When I was talking about beyond their ability, even though the Bible didn't mention it, but I was imagining. When they say somebody did something beyond his ability, I could imagine. Maybe they go into debt. They go into maybe selling their property. It was not written in the Bible, but I can imagine the level that somebody could go to do something beyond his ability. Maybe I can imagine some of them going and saying, how much are you going to buy it? Because I need the money to give for God's work. My God, the one I love is in need. Is in need of my money and I don't have anything. But I can sacrifice my clothes if you could give me the money. So I would use to give it to the one I love. Or to sponsor the work of the one I love. Because the Bible said they gave beyond even their ability. The last thing they did was they begged for privilege to give even though they don't have much. Somebody once said that I learned to give not because I don't have, but because I know exactly how it feels to have nothing. The Bible said these people haven't understood who they are doing this for and haven't understood the quality of love they have for this man. The Bible said they went and were begging, please, we don't want to miss out in the blessings that will come after we have given to the one we love. They said, please put our names. We may not have the money now. We may not have what it takes to give to God now, but we are sure we're going to do something someday. And they said, Kurubuto Sunamo. I love the way the house put it. And she Sunja Suna Roka, Suna Roko Manzani, Kusa Suna Yemuma Mazama, that can went the Zasuba. And I ask you, sir, do you truly love God enough to sacrifice what is of most important and valuable to you? Do you love God enough, sir, to see yourself sacrificing what you call or what you consider to be of most important and of most value? Do you love God enough to do that? Well, for the Macedonian church, it was love that made them do that. I love the song that, I don't know who wrote it, but the song goes thus. They said, love lifted me. Love lifted me. Oh, love lifted me. When nothing else could do, but love lifted me. Do you truly love God enough to do what you have never imagined? The second motivation these people has, well, and led to the reason why they gave that much, was because God gave them the grace to give. God gave them the grace to give. And that is seen in verse 1. That is seen in verse 1. Look at what verse 1 says. And now, brothers and sisters, we want you to know about the grace that God has given the Macedonian churches. They gave because God has given them the grace to give. And I say this, no one sitting here can say he or she has nothing to give towards this project. No one sitting here can beat his chest to say that I have nothing to give as touching the project that we have gathered and have assembled ourselves to do today. Nobody has the right to do that. Nobody has has the liberty to give such an excuse. You know why? I said because we all that have been seated here have been given the reason to give, to support this project. And this is how we know. We that are seated here cannot give reason or cannot give excuses, because the reason is because God has given us the grace to give, and this is how we know. Number one, we know that God has given us the grace to give because every one of us seated here is healthy. Nobody was held and was brought to church. Nobody, could not sit and listen to this message because his body will not allow him. His temperature is very high. And so every one of us that is alive and is also healthy and is seated right here, listening to God speak to you, that is a grace, my brother, to give. And that is why I said you don't have reason. Because if you were to buy the health you have now, even the money you are considering giving for this project will not be enough to buy you health for 1 hour. Do you know some people survive on oxygen? Some people spend millions of naira per week for air. Per week, how much do you spend? Was that not the reason why a story was told about the man who slumped and was rushed to the hospital? And the Bible said, the story said, this man was put on oxygen for a particular period of time. And when the man revived, he asked the doctor, how much is his bill? And the story said the doctor gave the man his bill. And when the man looked at the bill, he started to cry. The doctor thought the money was too high and too much for the man to pay. Say, hey, man, we can negotiate. We can bring the money a little down for you in case you feel the money is too high and too heavy for you to pay. And the man looked at him and said, I am not crying because I cannot pay for the oxygen I take. But I imagine that if this money I am being charged in the hospital for just few hours that I take oxygen, how much has God charged me for the oxygen I've been taking for more than 60 years on earth? And he said, how much will I have still been owing to pay God? If for 2 or few hours in oxygen you are charging me this much, if God is to charge me for the same hours I spend in life for 60 years, how much will I still be paying? And so you have grace to give. We have grace because we are healthy. We walked in here by our strength. We don't need any other strength to come into the church. We came in here on our own, so we are healthy. The second great reason that we know that God has given us the grace to give is because we are alive. My brother, are you better than those who are 6 feet on the ground as I speak with you? Are you better? Are you more intelligent? Are you even richer than those who are 6 feet under the ground as I'm speaking to you? And I hope you know that just as the way we are sitting here listening to God's gospel, in another place it's a message for funeral. Just as you are here listening to message for God's work, although somebody was unfortunate to be spared this long and to listen to somebody speak to him about what he will do to buy himself grace from God. And because he could not make it, he's lying instead as I speak with you, and there's a man of God standing on the altar telling people about how to use life because somebody's own is gone. You have reason to give because you are alive. How much can you pay for the life God has given you? How much do you have enough to pay for the life God has given you? Go out there and see people who are times 10 better than you can ever imagine. Yo, Basana, why do you think he spared you? Do you have reason to feel this God has not been fair to you? Do you have reason to feel, no, I don't have anything to give? My brother, you better think twice. Another thing again that we must give is, I said, God has given us the grace, and this is how we know, because we are not under any pressure. Unlike others who are in their hideout now for fear that others will harm or even kill them. There are people who are living their lives in the IDP camp as I speak with you right now. They own houses like you do. Some of them even own cars like you do. But today they are living on the mercy of people in the community. Go to IDP camps, you will see things yourself. Go to some of these places where these people who ran away from their homes, but you dare cannot even enter. Some of us drive at the comfort of our car to the comfort of our homes. If the AC in our car is not enough, we go home on gen in case NEPA interrupt the light supply, and then you put AC all over. Sometimes you sleep and forget yourself. When others had to sleep, probably on the floor. When others had to sleep, probably lapping one another. When others had to sleep, probably with their eyes open. When last did you sleep with your eye open? And I said, God has given us the grace to give because we are not under any pressure. How about the fact that you are not in the hands of kidnappers? The marital counselor of our church was sharing with us last Sunday. On Monday, he traveled to Abuja. Look at miracle. He traveled to Abuja and came back the same day when a kidnapping activity was done. He came almost some few minutes when they were done with operation. That was when his car came. And he could see the cars of people that were taken into the bush. And I asked this question. What makes him feel that this thing happened because he knows possibly that something like that will happen. And for whatever reason, maybe other things, technically, other things kept him from coming to meet these people. If you ask him, he will tell you it is God's grace. Because myself, I don't even know how. But let me tell you, if you are to be in the hand of a kidnapper by now, maybe you are planning to give 500,000. If God had allowed you to be in the hand of a kidnapper, 10 million would not be enough to start for your ransom. And so you have a grace. That you are not in the hand of a kidnapper. You have a grace to give. And the last thing, why these guys were motivated to give was because they know that all they have comes from God. And that is seen in verse 5. My brother, what do you have that was not given to you? 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 7. The secretary will always say, Elder Alayafi, he said something and I gave it a serious thought, and I come to discover that is true. When he was sensitizing us about giving for this, preparing ourselves for this fundraising, he said there's this popular song we sing. And I say, he said, how truthful are we when we sing this song? Do we just sing it because it's one of the songs that is reigning in its time? Or we sing it because we mean to sing? And look at what I said. I said sometimes you sing this song without really giving it the thoughts on the wordings and the meanings of the song. Even when the song seems to be spurring you to do what is expected of you, you just sing for singing's sake. And I say this, are you singing because you truly understand the meaning of the song? Or you are singing as a way of ridiculing God? Yeah, you are singing as a way of making fool of God. You sing on something you know you cannot do. You are only singing and you are telling him, come and take, and when he stretches his hands, you take it back. Is that what you do? Today is the day to prove if what we sing in that song is true, or we are just making fool of God for saying what we never meant. Lastly, 2 Corinthians chapter 9. Verse 6 to 8. 2 Corinthians chapter 9. Verse 6 to 8. The Bible says, remember this. Whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly. And whoever sows generously will also reap generously. Verse 7. Each man shall give what he has decided in his heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. Verse 8. And God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that in all things at all times, having all that you have, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. Let's sing this song together if you mean it. Yeshua Abasiya Komenanakane Yeshua Hamashiach Komenanakane The band, can you please come? Oh, komenanaka, komenanakane, 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 Yeshua Hamashiach, komenanakane, Yeshua Hamashiach Komenanaka Komenanakane Komenanakane Komenanaka Kudinanakane Kudinanakane